Hello. Are you a little bit kind of warm and a little bit moist? I am. I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to draw a diagram, but it's quite hot in here, and no, I'm going to keep my clothes on. I want to talk about two things on this episode, episode 26. Can you believe it? Of Adventures in Pop, and thank you for coming. My name's Simon Jacobs. Do subscribe. I love subscribers, and I think you're just the right kind of person. Two things I want to talk about. One is I want to go back to a subject that I raised, I think it was episode 10 of Adventures. I'm sure you can remember, obviously, exactly what was covered on every episode, where I talked about Spotify and the amount of money that artists can earn and how much money I was actually earning from Spotify, and whether I was anywhere in the ballpark of being able to earn a minimum wage. Plot spoiler, the answer was no, because there's been a major development on that. So I want to discuss that. It's quite interesting. And then just briefly, I want to look at one way in particular that I, in the past, have tried to drum up publicity, which is one of the things that I think for an independent musician, I think we're always trying to find interesting and innovative ways to kind of draw attention to ourselves, to cut through, as I say, when we're in this world where so many people can do the same thing and all get involved, but there's only room for a few, I suppose, to be heard and appreciated, and it's a tough job trying to cut through. Let's start back on the first point, though. Back on episode 10, I talked a little bit about how difficult it was to earn any money, and particularly from Spotify. And I did focus my attentions on Spotify because Spotify is the biggest. It's the one that people, all kind of talk about, hone in on, and sometimes rail against, because the amount of money that an artist receives from their own streams on Spotify is unbelievably small. Well, interestingly, and you might have heard about this, and this is something that's just happened in the UK alone. So for people watching in other parts of the world, this is kind of, it's interesting because it could then, I suppose, if we change something here, it could have a knock-on effect to other countries elsewhere. It could have a knock-on effect to the way that Spotify themselves want to be distributing money. And this is what it all comes down to. In this country, some of you will know, a bunch of MPs, members of our parliament, got together from all sides of the political spectrum to look at this issue about where the money goes to in the music industry, because now that we're not going out and buying CDs or physical products, we're not even downloading them in particular, we are streaming like there is no tomorrow. That's great. It is resurrecting some parts of the music industry. The problem is, particularly in a pandemic when there has been no touring going on, so another stream of income for artists has just been blocked off. The problem is artists are not earning very much money. In fact, let's go further. Artists are earning a pittance, and this is what the article about this says. Now, I'm reading this from a BBC article, for the sake of just transparency. I'll post a link to this because actually it's really well explained here, and I've read quite a few different reports from different sources, and this is the one that kind of is simplified, makes sense. The numbers are there. It's really good. So what they're saying is this: the music industry, it says, is weighted against artists, and even successful pop stars have pitiful returns from streaming, says a committee of MPs. And they want a complete reset of the market. I'm not quite sure what a reset means, but obviously what they're saying is this is not just a little bit of tinkering is going to sort this out. It needs a radical restructure. So the musicians can be given a fair share of the £736 million that UK record labels earn from streaming. So again, we're just focusing on the UK, but look at that number, £736 million per year that the UK record labels get. Now, out of the 736 million, well, I don't know very much of that. Well, look, let's not go there because it's just going to be too painful, isn't it? We don't have to go all through that again. In a report, they said the royalties should be split 50-50 instead of the current rate where artists receive, and I didn't know this until I read this report, artists currently receive about 16% of the money, in the total money that is earned from their streams. So nowhere near 50%, 16%. It's a third of 50% roughly. So I guess there's just this possibility that artists could, or in their minds should, be earning about 3 times more than they currently do from their Spotify streams. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Not insignificant. And what they say is, while streaming has brought significant profits to the recorded music industry, the talent behind it, performers, songwriters, composers, are losing out. Only a complete reset of streaming will do. I'm all for that. Go for it. And then they've got a graph. A graph actually very interesting again. It just shows that in the last 10 years, streaming has gone from probably looks like from here about half a billion dollars, $500 million of earnings came from streaming 10 years ago. That has gone up from half to about 14 or 15 billion. So that is a pretty enormous growth, and no signs of that growth slowing down. If anything, it kind of looks like it's accelerating at the expense of physical, at the expense of downloads, etc., etc. So streaming is the thing. We kind of know that, don't we, just from our own experience. The findings will be seen as a victory by pop stars like Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Melanie C. Wolf, Alice, Jessie Ware, who recently called on the Prime Minister to reform the way musicians get paid when their songs are streamed. The BPI, which represents UK recorded music industry, was a little more cautious. But they still, I think, recognise there is a problem. At present, it says, Spotify is believed to pay between 0.002 of a pound. So that is a fifth of a penny, and 0.0038, a little bit more than a fifth of a penny, per stream, while Apple pays, actually a good deal more than that, 0.0059. YouTube pays the least, about 0.0052, or a five hundredths of 1 pence per stream. Let's ignore YouTube for the time being. Just keep on with Spotify here, though. But all that money goes to rights holders, it says, a blanket term that covers everything from massive record companies to artists who release their own music. But the money is then divided up between everyone involved in making the record, and that means recording artists often will receive. That's not very good English, is it? About 13% of the revenue, with labels and publishers keeping the rest, and Spotify keeping a big chunk of that. So we've got another nice graph here that says labels get 55%, streaming service gets 30%, royalties to the artist gets about 15%. Now, artists who release their own music and who work with independent labels and distribution companies would tend to get a higher share, but I believe you me, it's not much higher. A survey by the Ivors Academy and Musicians Union found that in 2019, 82% of professional musicians made less than £200 from streaming. Only 7% made more than £1,000. Ooh, that's quite depressing, isn't it? It really seriously a problem. And Nile Rodgers had something to say about it. Let's have a listen to Nile. It's a useful little clip.
Nowadays, I put out a record with an artist and he had 5 million streams, and 5 million streams was meaningless. And it's incredible that a number like 5 million or 10 million can be meaningless as far as what you take out economically. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
So look, this was a report that did get quite a lot of publicity, was accepted by the House. There were some lovely little kind of anecdotes in there, sort of real life examples given in there, which I think really helped to kind of bring it to life and helped it to be something the newspapers wanted to write about. Pop songwriter, it says here, this is really interesting. Pop songwriter Fiona Bevan revealed that she earned just £100 for a track on Kylie Minogue's #1 album Disco. Right now, she said, hit songwriters are driving Ubers. It's quite shameful. Mercury Prize nominee Nadine Shah made headlines after telling the committee she had been forced to move back in with her parents because earnings from my streams are not significant enough to keep the wolf from the door. I've got the same wolf. Blooming nuisance. Reinforce the door, that's what I say. But in the meantime, absolutely right, Nadine Shah and Fiona Bevan. It is shameful and quite ridiculous. So that's the situation. Now look, I think this is all good news. I look forward to a change happening, but I also think I've got to be a bit of a realist here. So, I'm not wanting to be a party pooper. I think it could take a very long time, when we think about all of the real priorities of stuff that needs to get sorted in this country, it could take a real long time for the law to actually change and for, in Britain, in the UK at least, for some kind of legal demand made of Spotify to distribute funds in a different way. Now, apparently, I did read somewhere that it is already working in a different way in Spain, but I don't think any other country has kind of tackled this. And Britain, as I say, would probably be the second country, but I don't think this is necessarily going to come about anytime soon. So, for all you musicians out there, independent musicians in particular, and I include myself in that number, I think we just have to carry on doing what we're doing for the time being. But I think at least our plight is being recognised and understood, and that is useful. Now, look, my second point today is to talk a little bit about, the marketing issue. So it is kind of linked, really. We have to go to, I would say, quite ridiculous extent sometimes to try and find ways to market our stuff, to market ourselves, to get out there, to get people to notice. And it's not easy. It really isn't easy. And I think the thing that really strikes me is that if you're a musician, if you're a songwriter, you could be a brilliant songwriter, and you have no trouble getting those tunes down and those fabulous words and incredible beats, and it's all performed fantastically. But the marketing aspect is a totally different animal, isn't it? I think you could be a brilliant musician and a hopeless marketeer, or the other way around, but kind of we're asking people to be able to do both. I think that's a really tough ask. And I don't think I've in any way cracked it. I think all I'll say is, in terms of progress, partly because I do these adventures, and you're good enough to kind of come along and watch and listen, and I thank you. It means I've upped the number of videos I'm putting out on YouTube, and it means I have, just as of last week, been accepted into the YouTube Partnership Program. I had a quick look to see what this means monetarily, because I always want to see if any organisation is prepared to put its money where its mouth is, and YouTube has got a considerable mouth, I think you'll agree. Well, since the beginning of this week, I'm proud to be able to share with you. Sorry, I was overcome with emotion there. I'm proud to share with you the fact that I have earned an extra 9p. So now that I'm part of the YouTube Partners Program, I guess it'll just be a couple of months. I won't bother to even show up. I'll just send somebody else to come and talk to you. I'll just be on my yacht, I guess. So look, the first 9p, ka-ching. So I don't expect that to radically change anything, but it's just another way of trying to get noticed, trying to get across, trying to tell a story, trying to get into people's kind of consciousness. And and without you, that would be all completely pointless. So what I want to leave you with today is, some of you will probably have seen this, but a couple of years ago. It was a couple of years ago. I was just in a run-up at this time of the year to releasing my second album, which was Baby Boomers, available everywhere. And I also had lined up, a very rare for me, a kind of gig, launch gig at the Notting Hill Arts Club, which is a really nice venue. If you haven't ever been there, really good venue, and they were very nice to me. But so 2 years ago, I had an album on its way and a gig, and I was thinking, yeah, great. How do I get people along? I developed some flyers, and they got posted in place. I mean, all the traditional things. Go and put flyers all over the place, and we did a bit of that. There weren't enough places for the number of flyers we had. Too many flyers, not enough places. But we were doing our best to try and sort of create, well, something, some momentum, some traffic, some noticeability, some impact of some sort. And I was pretty pessimistic as to whether any of those things were going to work. And to be honest, I was right to be pessimistic, because not really. The gig was a very interesting thing. I knew every person who was there, and I love all of them, but that I wanted to not know people who were there. So as an added extra, I thought I will make a video. And what really struck me was, I thought, what I'd like in my fantasy world, and my fantasy world is quite vast, by the way. What I'd like in my fantasy world is to be interviewed. I want someone to come and interview me like a proper, like a proper pop star. And I thought, well, nobody's going to come and interview me. So next best thing, why don't I interview me and put it on YouTube? Now, this is one of the more stupid ideas I've had. And basically, it ended up being, a bit of performance film. And it's completely daft from beginning to end. But I'm basically playing two characters, as you will see. One is the interviewer and one is the interviewee. And both of them are completely stupid. I mean, I remember once somebody saying to me when I released my first single, saying, God, you're very brave, And I was thinking, no, I just want people to hear my music. But actually, when it comes to very silly things like this publicity video, maybe this did need courage, because basically it's just so bonkers. And I guess all it says is that I don't really mind taking the Michael, taking the P, because sometimes you've got to, and if it's funny, then maybe people would sit up and take notice. So look, that's it. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm just going to let you watch this bit of ridiculous performance that was all in the name of trying to drum up support, get people to hear a second album, and get people to come along to a gig. I would say it probably didn't particularly succeed in any of those things, and it languishes now in the vaults, and that's why I think it's worth bringing it out to show you. So I will leave you there. I'll just say, MPs, thank you for thinking about the plight of songwriters, performers, etc. On Spotify and other streaming services, but now get it sorted, because as this video will show you, a lot of musicians are not very good at the publicity. And on that bombshell, I'm going to love you and leave you. Let's do it all again soon, because it's great having your company. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, this week I have been invited into the lovely, modest home of Simon Jacobs, who is going to be releasing his second album. Yes, you heard it right. Second album, Baby Boomer, on August the 23rd. And I've just got a little bit of time to ask him a few questions. So first of all, Simon, why Baby Boomer? What does that signify for you as the title of your album? Hi, yeah, welcome along. Right, yeah. Well, Baby Boomer, yeah. Does this look stupid? The glasses? No, you said. No, I'm not. Please start again. Oh God. Yeah, Baby Boomer. Yeah, it's just it's just like my comment like on the generations and like history, right? No, that's very interesting. And what will fans find that's different in this album than, say, the first album, apart from the fact, some of them, might buy it or listen to it. I mean, what's going to be different here? Well, the thing that's different about this album to the first album is, it's got different songs on it. It doesn't sound right. And Simon, after the enormous flop of the first album, I mean, really, why did you carry on? I mean, and it's a marvellous thing that you've been so determined, plucky. Yeah, it's a good question, right? But I mean, it's all about reaching out and touching people with your music. Is that right? And I understand you're also doing a concert, which is remarkable and very, very exciting. Tell us a little bit about. Tell us about this. When, and where? Yeah, that's right. I'm doing a gig, right? Notting Hill Arts Club, right? 27th of August. They begged me to go there. Obviously, they wanted me to do like residency and be there all afternoon, but I'm just there in the evening. Sorry. They're very nice, actually, these biscuits. Look, your publicist is waving at me. I think I've probably only got room for one last question, and then we are going to have to go. But as I say, I have listened to the whole album through. And sorry, you have to go now. What? Why? No, I'm going to have to go and get some more biscuits. You've eaten all the biscuits. No, you've eaten all the biscuits. I put some biscuits down. You've eaten all the biscuits. I mean, Can't believe it. No. No. I'm not having that. I did not eat all the biscuits. No. I did not eat all the... Sally had one. I've had 5. Look. Sorry, look. It looks like I'm going to have to go. It's been a pleasure, but obviously a bit quick. Listen, just 23rd of August. Just download or stream the bloody thing. I mean, it's not that bad. You gotta hand it to the baby boomers, babe. Now we run the world more or less, babe. We're gonna leave it for the next generation.